Nice one, Cyril.
Welcome to Nice One, Cyril Extra Time. I'm with Kevin Acott. Morning, Kevin.
Good morning. Good morning.
Now, we are the fourth best team in Europe. Having been European champions as recently as last summer, we do support quite a club, don't we, Kev?
We certainly do. I mean, I think fourth is misleading. Obviously, I think we're actually the best. But so maybe we should just finish there.
Yes, it's a bit ideal spot to stop.
Yes.
It was another good performance in Europe against Frankfurt, who I am convinced are shit, and I think Dortmund was shit. I said that on our podcast recently, but that doesn't diminish the achievement. We've come fourth in the Champions League table above tiddler teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona and City, PSG. We've got the second best defence. This is Spurs we're talking about. Second best defence. Flappy is the best keeper. He won the Golden Gloves or something. And we are the only team to win all four matches at home without conceding. It's like living in an alternative reality, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I see people have sort of referred to the Truman Show and to some massive social experiment that we're all sort of victims of. And I think that's the only explanation, actually. Yeah. There's no logic to what's going on at all.
Frank was kind of forced, his hand was forced in terms of selection. Again, we were very, very short of players. And he sort of went with the three at the back, stuck Palhinha in there and had our fullbacks advancing. I felt like we bullied them physically. They just weren't up. I mean, there were a couple of occasions when the doggy was running back with one of their forwards and just sort of calmly eased them off the ball. And we were doing that all over the pitch. They didn't seem to have any kind of substance about them.
Oh, I think I might just be making the statistic up, but I think I read somewhere that they'd let in 3 goals at least in their last 5 matches or something.
Right.
They're obviously going through a really bad period. There was a lack of energy and motivation from them. But, it takes two, and there was the relationship between their crapness and our strength, and that meant that we won, and we won very comfortably, I think. And pretty much everyone played well.
Yes.
I think they could all do better, but it really felt like this is a starting point, possibly, for something really good.
Yes, it's
possibly
another false dawn, in my opinion. Well, listen, we shall live and learn, but I wonder whether that formation is the way forward, given that we're short of personnel, and also that I actually really like Palhinha playing a bit deeper. He's good enough. I mean, he's a great tackler. He's big, he's strong, and he's not that great going forward. He's okay. He's better than some people give him credit for. But in that position, as a sort of deeper lying, I guess, centre back, he's so effective.
I think he made such a difference playing there. He was a really key part of that whole performance, I think. And I agree. I think we should play him there consistently. I mean, again, it's hard to know, isn't it? Because I've seen a lot of explanations of that European teams on the whole play in a more open, basically less boring style than Premiership teams, and that suits us, and maybe that suits Palhinha. But I think we should persist with him, and we should persist with him in that position, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, also, Jed Spence stood in for Porro on the right-hand side. I thought he struggled a bit with his distribution, but I thought his energy and his power and speed were impressive. And as you said, Simmons also was tremendous. Yeah. His touch and vision, and also he's getting tougher by the minute, isn't he? He seems to be quite happy to throw himself into tackles, and he looks stronger than he was, and hopefully becoming the player that we all can kind of see.
Yeah, I mean, you sort of look at him and you still think, just immediately think safeguarding. You immediately think this little boy needs looking after. And yet he was much more physical. I think he's got energy, he's got determination, and he does have that
Yeah.
special thing, that flair, that talent, that creativity. And I think his final ball, his final decision making needs a lot of improvement.
Yeah, I find myself sometimes he's trying a pass, and I think in my head, too clever, Xavi. And then I sometimes think, actually not clever enough, because the problem there is that he's overestimating his
Yeah.
teammates' ability to read him. But I think that will come. And I think he's beginning to really show why we paid the money for him.
Yeah.
I was having a bit of not a row, but a conversation with someone on social media about the draw. Now, I remember way back when we were optimistic and untainted by misery and thinking Thomas Frank was the second coming, that we were saying, well, yes, it's a very kind draw for us, given how great we're going to be this season. And it was whichever way you look at it, it's a very kind draw. Only PSG to worry about in terms of, real quality. So we have to sort of say, there's a part of me that thinks, we really ought to get behind this and think what a great effort this was by Spurs. And the other side of it is, well, yeah, but it was easy, really, relatively speaking, because the opposition was poor. But actually, you have to put that in context. And the context is we have been appalling this season in the Premier League. And so whoever we're playing is a challenge, right? And so for us to go into Europe and, I don't know, I just wonder, Kev, do you think there was a sense among the players, and there has been a sense, that the shackles are off a bit in Europe, that actually we're not going to win this competition, so why not have fun with it?
I don't know whether it's Frank's instructions, Frank's whole approach. I saw there was an interview with Romero. He said we treat every European match like a final. And my immediate response,
Yes.
internally was treat every bloody match as a final. Maybe that's, part of the problem. But there's definitely a more relaxed, looser approach to the European games. And my guess is that comes from Frank, either directly by what he says or just by his demeanour and approach to the matches. I don't know. There was also maybe something about, we were at the end of our tether, squad-wise, team-wise. He had no choice. We knew what team he was going to pick because he had no choice. And so there's probably that can lead to some relaxation, I think, and just, sod it, let's just go for it. So a lot of things. There's still something strange about how poor we've been in the league and the difference between that and what's happened in Europe. I still don't. It may also be about the way in which European teams play differently. But would Burnley have beaten Frankfurt? Would, all the other terrible teams that we've lost to this year? No, we didn't lose to Burnley, did we? But, they struck me, both Frankfurt and Dortmund struck me as sort of mid-table-ish at best Premiership teams, maybe, floating around the sort of relegation zone. It's baffling. We'll see what happens on Sunday. That's going to be a big, sort of test, I guess.
I mean, there is this issue, isn't there? I mean, we've talked about this on the podcast before, that, when we do badly, all roads lead to Thomas Frank. When we do well, there's a kind of reluctance, and I'm conscious of sharing this, to give him any credit, right? So, he only had 11 fit men. What's he going to do? Pick them all? He doesn't get any credit for that. And, the same with Dortmund last week. We were down to the bare bones and, nothing to do with him. The players, it was the players who decided to win that game, not him. And I think that's grossly unfair, objectively. In the absence of Levy, we do need someone to take all the blame. But actually, we do have to give credit as well to Thomas Frank. He's taken us into Europe. We've kept winning. And here we are now. We play at home for the second leg of both the next round and the one after, assuming we go through. And I think I was reading a tweet, and we were talking about this before the pod, Kevin, about someone saying, Frank's effect on the the whole club is so destructive that, we won't get any of our loan players won't want to come back, and we're stunting the growth and potential of all the players, and the fans are sick of it, and the fans are going to stop watching. But it's only going to take a few wins, and I don't know, where do you stand right now?
I don't know where I stand right now, and I suspect that's true of so many, of our fans. I'm not feeling incredibly strongly he should stay, and I'm not feeling incredibly strongly he should go, actually. Part of me says, let's give it the season. In fact, most of me feels that at the moment, I think. Let's give it the whole season. I mean, this sort of demonising, we've talked about this, the personalising, the attacks on Frank have just been horrible. This willingness to just give, right, I'm giving up now, I don't support us anymore, I'm never going to another match. All of that sort of just mad social media stuff. It's just irritating. But also, if you think back a week or two, it was pretty much the most despairing I've felt being a Tottenham fan. So there's some reality to that negativity. It's just that it's the focus on Frank just feels it feels very of this age. It feels a very contemporary. There's good people and bad people. There's good and evil, and you're either on the right side or you're not. And Frank isn't one of us somehow. He isn't a Tottenham manager.
Yeah.
But that was true of Mourinho. That was true of Conte.
Yeah, I think, as I was saying on, I think the last pod, he doesn't do himself any favours sometimes with his declarations to the press. And, you actually made a great point about how difficult it is for him, managing that, because he's not just talking to us, he's talking to the, the hierarchy, he's talking to the players, he's talking to the fans. It's a very difficult line, to balance on. The other thing that's come up recently, or just the other day, of course, is that De Zerbi has declared his intention to leave Marseille, and everyone's going, oh, grab him. And I fail to understand this. A, because why? And B, because why? He did okay at Brighton. He's done not much since. We know he's a spiky, awkward, difficult bastard. He's failed at Marseille. Why? Why do people get these reputations for being the next big thing? And we've got to have them. It's the sweet shop thing. Let's just grab him. Makes no sense to me.
No, I agree. I don't think any current manager who might be available actually makes any sense, either because they definitely won't come to us anyway, or they're not proven enough to take over this horrible, horrible job. I'm very unhappy with so many of the decisions that Frank has made and the way he can communicate, and unhappy with a lot, but I don't see the point in changing right now. What's worrying me is the transfer window, and a few, however many, 3-4 days left.
Yeah, and we couldn't be more in need of personnel right now. I completely understand. You don't want to just grab anything that's out there. I've got to say, Kev, I had this nightmare the other night. I woke up screaming into the dark, sweating, and it was based on a tweet that I'd read, which the Tottenham Hotspur are making an approach to sign free agent Raheem Sterling. And honestly, I couldn't sleep after that. That was the end of it. And it turned out it's looking, well, I don't know. The ITKs are getting very excited about this. That is not any kind of addition to the squad that is going to improve things. It would be grabbing at something because it's there. This, again, another thing that makes no sense to me, and I'm hoping it's going to be consigned to the dustbin of stupidity very soon.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw that Chelsea had done a deal with him, I immediately thought, yeah, he's going to come to us, isn't he? It would be the most Tottenham thing to do. I still stupidly probably have this sense that we're going to make a big signing before, it's Monday night, I think, isn't it? Before Monday.
For me, Sterling is Timo Werner Redux. He's just not the guy. We've got Muani, who I suppose, hanging on now by the skin of his teeth because, he wasn't great actually against Frankfurt, but he got a goal. He looked okay. Again, scoring against a former team. Doesn't seem to be able to score against anyone else right now. And I don't know, I guess they'll keep him because we've only got Solanke right now. And a quick word about him, what a player. And I'm so pleased that he's back and firing again. So, all right, we're coming towards the end. Let's have a quick word about Manchester City. Now, look, we always beat Manchester City, obviously. It's just a question of by how many, right? I mean, this is the first in a run of horrible games. We've got City, United, Newcastle and Arsenal. And actually, we talked about Frank and, we want him to stay, or he's probably going to stay. And if we lose all of those, that might change the landscape again. But how do you see this match?
I can imagine that what we're going to win fairly comfortably and impressively. And people will say, yeah, but it was only Man City. We always do that anyway. Frank still needs to go. He can't win this one. I don't know. Of those terrible matches coming up, Newcastle's, I think, the most likely that we can get some points from, followed by City, actually, because of this odd inconsistency that they have. So I'm not really looking forward to it. We've got the fallback position, of course, is that if they win it damages Arsenal, but I don't want to think of that at the moment.
It's so hard to know because you don't know which,
who knows?
Is European Spurs going to turn up, or is it Premier League Spurs, in which case, if it's the latter, I don't even bother going. But I don't know, I've just got this sense, and probably share, the kind of the stupid optimism that you and I occasionally have, that there's based on nothing. But I feel like we're going to beat them. So that will remain to be seen. So, look, I think we're done for today. We covered a lot of ground. We're going to be back with the big pod, the big proper pod on, we're recording on Monday. Now, listen, we've got a website, Kev, and you're on it. You're looking beautiful on there. It's www.niceonecyrilpodcast.co.uk. All the episodes are on there. They go on there pretty much as soon as they're up on Spotify, and bits of information and stuff. And we've got some interesting guests coming up. Not too distant future. We've got Rob White coming on, whose dad, of course, was the great John White. He'll be on in a few weeks' time. And loads of information. Get on there and have a look. And we are at Nice One Cyril Pod on Twitter, all over social media. So give us a follow, subscribe to the pod on your favourite platform, and you'll never miss an episode. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the match. Come on, you Spurs. Nice one, Cyril.